Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome everyone. I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, and today, August 27th, I want to welcome everyone to the stream. Make sure you hit the like button when you come in here. Definitely appreciate everyone for tuning in. But we got a great show for you guys. I've been staying busy, being productive, doing what needs to be done. You may have heard or been rumored if you're checking the internet, checking what's going on. Your success concierge is going to be speaking at the Black Manosphere Conclave 5.0. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, whether you're going to be there in person or virtually, you definitely want to do so. Also, they have an event for the ladies. I'm not part of that. I'm not affiliated with that, but that's what they have going on there. But your success concierge is going to be down there speaking and chatting with the brothers who want to, get out there, better themselves, and doing some things to add value. So I'm definitely growing, expanding, and doing some amazing things. I got some other stuff coming as well too. Over here, we're constantly growing, learning, and doing what needs to be done so we can keep our mind, our body sharp, and in essence, our finances sharp as well too. So that's what we do over here. So as you come in, make sure that you do in fact hit the like button because we definitely appreciate y'all for that. But yeah, so what is it I do? I'm Eric Hall, your success concierge. I help individuals and businesses confidently and consistently make an exceptional first impressions by mastering the ABCDs of image because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And when you don't make good first impressions, opportunities go elsewhere. So we don't want that for you. So definitely reach out. I keep it simple, customized care to you so we can make sure that you are achieving your desired outcomes. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into this. Y'all know what I like to do. We're gonna talk about our scent of the day, and I think this is very apropos for the individual that we're going to be doing this evening, doing our case study on. This is Bond Number 9, Wall Street. Now, what I like about this fragrance, and I tell people, and I actually have done a review on this, so you definitely want to check that out. But this candle here, it smells like money. It's got a cool minty cucumber smell. I like to smell it on my skin. I like to have it going to business meetings, and also too, I also have the candle as I stated. So it's very very soothing, very very relaxing, and again, make you feel good, make you feel confident, make you feel like money. Definitely a win for that. So who can wear this? This is a power fragrance, so you can definitely wear this to the office, to the boardroom when you're going to close, in anywhere you want to make a strong first impression. This is for the mature gentleman, the classy, well dressed gentleman. This is not for the t-shirt weather. And ladies, if you want to rock this too, because sometimes you want to get into that fire mode, that predatory mode. This is good for your pantsuit. Dark colors with this right here. Blue, black, charcoal gray. So that's what we got with that right there. So let's see what's going on in the chat here. Let's see, Miss Denise Mobley, welcome to the chat. Anybody else, go ahead, chime in. Welcome as well too. We're going to go ahead and dive right into this because again, I am preparing for that, the Manosphere Conclave, and I want to make sure that I definitely, as my old coach say, I definitely bring it and bring the fire. So, um, one thing that I get is I get asked this question all the time. Good evening, lady. Okay, Lady Eagle. Okay, I welcome. Good to see you. I get asked this question all the time, and it usually comes from women. Like, can you help my husband, my boyfriend, my son? Can you style them? Can you do different things for them? And I say absolutely. The question is, do they want to do it, right? Because we're talking not just about getting temporary change. We're talking about longevity and consistency. So if I'm helping an individual, yeah, if it's not within them to make a difference or make a change, that won't last. It will only be temporary. So how do you keep getting lasting change, right? We talked about longevity, consistency, performance, production. That's what we see in other areas, whether it's business, sports. And that's by being disciplined and having desire. So first, desire comes first, right? Because when you want something, whether it's a goal, whether it's a fitness, whether it's to win, whether it's to stay on top, that starts with the desire. Then the discipline comes in is are you willing to confidently and consistently do the work? Because anything you want is going to require work. Going on a diet requires work. Doing a fitness routine requires work. Performing and prepping in business requires work. Marketing, singing, performing, winning championships, all that requires work. And so that's why the individual we're going to be talking about, he's the epitome of that. He's had longevity. He's had a lot of success. He's won, but he's also too overcome a lot of adversity, which would have knocked a lot of other individuals off the box. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. Let me see here. Let me go to my screen share, make sure that it's showing up. All right, share screen. Yep, I'm going to do that. All right, let's see here. Make sure everything shows up. Entire screen. And then we're gonna do this. Let me make sure it changes over here. I know I have a delay over here on my phone, so I want to make sure it's changing properly. Okay, cool. Take a sip of water as well too, because I want to give it to you as best I can. All right, so I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, and today we're going to be talking about desire and discipline, a case study on Floyd Mayweather Jr. So let's get started. And as always, when I open up these things, I always say I'm doing this to be as accurate as possible. So any information that's not accurate is not intentional. There's no malicious intent as well too, as well. So I just wanted to say that as we get started on that right there. But we're going to go ahead and get started on our case study, Desire and Discipline, case study on Floyd Mayweather Jr. All right. So early life and background, y'all know how I do over here, right? If I can find a child picture, I'm going to put it up here. But Floyd Mayweather, he was actually born Floyd Joy Sinclair, because Deborah Sinclair is his mother. Floyd Mayweather Sr. is his father, but he took on his mother's name before eventually changing his name to Floyd Mayweather Jr. Born February 24th, 1977. And one thing that I was learned was his maternal grandfather was born in Kingston, Jamaica. And, he had several family members, his father, his uncles, Roger and Jeff. They were all professional boxers. So boxing itself was in his blood. Now, this is just a stock photo, but his grandma had saw the potential in it first. At one point, Floyd wanted to talk about getting a job, and his grandma said, "Hey, just keep boxing, all right." And his father was incarcerated when he was young, and boxing became his outlet. And he dropped out of high school to focus on boxing. Now, a lot of people, including 50 Cent, they trolled him about his reading, such and so forth. I won't get into that, but he did drop out and went on to be successful. But one of the challenges he experienced growing up was just early life strife. He would often see drug needles in his front yard. His mother was addicted to drugs. He had an aunt who died of AIDS from drug use. But in the 80s, he lived in Hiram Square in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and he said they had a seven to one bedroom apartment. They was rolling seven deep sometimes, and often going times without electricity. Now, his relationship with his father was consistently rocky. He would say, "Oh, his father only spent time with him to train and work out." He felt like his father liked his older sister better because he would, do certain things with her, and she never got whippings, and he did. Some children have experienced that in their own life as well too. All right, but his father, he did have issues early on. He said, he would do his illicit activities at night to make sure he could spend time with his son in the daytime. So he would take him to boxing, take him to train. He said, despite all the stories and rumors, they always had food. He always had clothes. Um, there's two sides to every story, but that's one side that he said as well too. So Floyd Sr., he served 5.5-year sentence stemming from a 93 conviction related to narcotics. And Floyd would spend time between his mother and his grandmother's home. He would say, "Yeah, if my mom is mad, I go to my grandma's house," or vice versa. But he essentially said after his father, left his life due to incarceration, he essentially raised himself. But as we know, boxing was in his blood. He early on he was in Golden Gloves, so he won championships at three different divisions: 93 at 106, 94 at 114, and 96 at 125. And his teammates nicknamed him Pretty Boy Floyd because he would not get hit. He had very few scars from his boxing matches. And his father and uncle taught him the crab style, the Philly shell, uh, the Michigan. I can't. So many different names for this one, but with the shoulder roll to help deflect punches, and that was how he mastered that masterfully to be able to avoid punches even later in his career. His career record: 84 wins, 8 losses as an amateur, but he did experience some early disappointment. He was fighting in the Olympics in Atlanta 1996. That was the last time it was held on U.S. soil up until 2028 when it's coming back. But he lost a controversial fight to silver medalist Todorov, who was from Bulgaria, and many people thought he was going to win. Even the referee, as you see here, the referee raised his hands thinking it was going to be Floyd, but it was actually the other gentleman there. Team USA, they actually protested because three Bulgarians, they made it to gold medal bouts in their various divisions, and one of the judges, he resigned. He said, "I refuse to be a part of the organization that conducts officiating in this manner." This is probably one of the biggest controversial losses since another person I think we talked about was Roy Jones Jr. in the '88 Olympics. And the interesting thing is Floyd will go on to win the bronze medal, and this was actually the last time he lost a bout. All right, so he made his professional career debut October 11, 1996. Now, if you know, the Olympics was in August, so just a few months later, and he debuted with a second round knockout of Roberto Apodaca. And during the fight, Emmanuel Stewart, he was the trainer for. I know he trained Lennox Lewis, but he said Floyd Mayweather will probably go down to win 2 or 3 world championships and go down as the best ever. He won his first world title after 8 round KO of Gerardo Hernandez, and this was for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship at 130 pounds. Now, again, he was having some different challenges with his dad, so he actually fired him as a manager, and later fired him as his trainer in 2000, and felt like he put too much pressure on him to be perfect, and instead going on with his uncle. But he had to fight with Diego Corrales in 2011, excuse me, 2001. And one of the things that was a staple of Floyd's career was hitting but not getting hit. So you see in that particular fight, he had 220 punches landed out of 414, whereas Diego's had 60 of 205. All right. So as a featherweight up to this point, he was 27-0, and he was the ring super heavyweight ranked number 1 and number 5 pound for pound. So he moved on to the lightweight division, fought Luis Castillo, and for the WBC and ring lightweight titles, he would win that by unanimous decision. And he talks about this. He stated he tore his rotator cuff 2 days before the fight. He always say he beat someone with one hand, but he won the rematch as well, also by unanimous decision. And in the lightweight division, he went 4-0. Now, by the end of 2003, he was the ring lightweight champion, and then also too pound for pound number 5 pound for pound. And what we're seeing here is kind of a trend, right? Floyd has overcome adversities, overcoming challenges, injury, whatnot, but he remained disciplined, remained to his craft, and he was able to continue to succeed. So he went on to the light welterweight, fought Zab Judah and some other fights. He defeated Marcus Corley in his light welterweight debut at 140 pounds. Harry Brussels, and they had what they call an eliminator. So you have to win, these fights, and whoever wins the fights gets the shot at the title. That in that particular order. So he defeated Henry Brussels in the 8th round, and that led to Arturo Gardy for the WBC fight. And so he won the title in the 6th round TKO, out punching him 168 to 141. 168 to 41. And then also too in April he fought Zab Judah for the IBF welterweight title, which he won by unanimous decision. And then he defeated Carl Baltimore for the WBC and IBF ring welterweight titles. So he became the first fighter since Roberto Duran to capture ring titles in the lightweight and the welterweight divisions. And at this time, he won 5-0 in that particular division with 2 knockouts. So this set up like a big fight, right? So some of you may or may not remember, but at the '92 Olympics in Barcelona, Oscar De La Hoya, that's where he got the name Golden Boy, because he was representing for, and I believe he won a gold medal in the Olympics, and he transitioned that into his professional career. And so Floyd Mayweather moved up from 147 to 154 so he could face De La Hoya for the title. And as I said, De La Hoya was a gold medalist, he's 6-time division champion in 6 different divisions, and he had the light middleweight title. What's interesting is at the time, I think there was still strife between Floyd and his father. So he was negotiated to train with De La Hoya, but ultimately De La Hoya went with legendary trainer Freddie Roach. But this particular bout set a record for pay-per-view buys at the time with 2.4 million households. And this was billed as two of the best of the best. But Mayweather dominated this fight. He outlanded De La Hoya 207 to 122. He won by a split decision. And at this particular time, Mayweather had contemplated retirement. He said, I have nothing left to prove to the boxing world. So after the fight with De La Hoya, he did relinquish the WBC middleweight title, the light middleweight title, and he was scheduled to fight Ricky Hatton for the light welterweight title. This was promoted between Oscar De La Hoya, his Golden Boy Promotions, and Mayweather Promotions. In the 2007 bout, both fighters were undefeated, and Mayweather dominated Hatton, winning by TKO in the 10th round. And he stated like Hatton was one of his toughest, most tenacious opponents, and he retired after that to focus on Mayweather Promotions. And he said Hatton would be his first client. But like all those who have the itch, Mayweather couldn't stay away. So after about 2 years of retirement, he fought Juan Manuel Marquez. He was number 2 pound for pound at a catch weight of 144. And again, we talk about adversity. So the fight was initially scheduled for July 18th, but it was postponed due to Mayweather having a rib injury. But when they got into the fight, it was one-sided, unanimous decision. Mayweather landed 59% of his punches, whereas Marquez only landed 2. And this talks about the marketing and whatnot, as this was scheduled on Mexican Independence Day, which is a big day for boxing. And this particular bout sold 1 million pay-per-view households and generated 52 million in revenue for HBO. So I know a lot of individuals caught the tail end of this, but him and Pacquiao had began negotiating as early as 2009. Even they were supposed to have a signed contract. It was released, and it had everything from who's going to go out first, what they're going to wear, all these type of things. But Mayweather was wanting Olympic-style testing. So this is for drugs and performance enhancers. And this fight was expected to generate 3.5 million in pay-per-view, generate over 300 million in revenue. But allegedly, Pacquiao was unwilling to comply. They called the fight out. Bob Arum, who was representing Pacquiao, he felt like the US ADA was too stringent and too invasive, and so he wanted to do a test. Now, mind you, they're negotiating in December. He wanted to do a test in January, a test 30 days before the fight, and then immediately after the fight. But they tried to negotiate. It failed in January 2010, and so Pacquiao, he went on to defeat Joshua Clottey, and Mayweather went on to fight against Sugar Shane Mosley. All right. So Mosley, this was one of Mayweather's toughest fights, well, at least initially, right? So Mosley was number 3 pound for pound. He was a WBA super welterweight champion, and he started off stunning Mayweather. You see, this was a really test to his chin. You see that shot right there. He stumbled him in the second round with 2 right hands. But one thing about Mayweather being disciplined in his craft, disciplined in his skill and his training, he figured out Mosley's style, and he dominated the fight. Right, and so he became the second fighter since Roy Jones Jr. to not get hit with a power punch in a round. And De La Hoya, after this fight, stated Mayweather may be the best at the game at this time. And so this particular fight, 1.4 million pay-per-view purchases, and it generated 78.3 million in revenue. So after that, this is an interesting, controversial fight. This is the fight with Victor Ortiz. So it was scheduled September 17, 2011 for the WBC welterweight title, and Mayweather was dominating Ortiz. And so in the fourth round, Ortiz started to have a little bit of success, but as you see right here, this is Ortiz headbutting Mayweather, opening a cut in his mouth. He was penalized by the referee. They went to the center of the ring. They touched gloves, and then did their little atonement. And then Victor Ortiz tried to hug Mayweather again when the ref wasn't looking, and Mayweather took advantage and knocked him out. Some people didn't like it, but he said, "Protect yourself at all times." That's when he got into the famous spat with I want to say not Jim Lampley, but one of the HBO ring announcers who said, "If I was your age, we would fight." But that was a controversial win for Mayweather. Then he had some other ones. Mikhail Cotto, he couldn't. He's still trying to negotiate with Pacquiao, but couldn't reach the negotiation at the time. Cotto was the number one ring middleweight. But Floyd Mayweather, he dominated the early rounds. Cotto had some success in the middle rounds, and Mayweather also dominated the late rounds for the unanimous decision. So this particular bout generated 1.5 in revenue. I mean, it's 1.5 pay-per-view, 94 million in revenue, and Mayweather earned 32 million from this fight, which was the largest guaranteed purse in boxing history. But during this time, Mayweather has had some issues as well too. So he was sentenced to 2 months in jail. He went from June 1st to August 3rd, and it had consequences because in 2015 he wanted to do a tour in Australia, but he was denied a visa for his previous record as well. So Mayweather went back on to fight Canelo for the WBC WBA super welterweight. They fought at the catch weight of 152. This was another controversial fight. Some say Mayweather dominated, but Mayweather won 2 of 3 scorecards with Judge C.J. Ross saying it was a tie. But Ross mysteriously retired after the fight. And again, Mayweather generating revenue, received 41.5 million, breaking his previous record. So he wanted to go on and unify the title. So he fought Marcus Maidana, and they fought 2 times. So the first time, this was Maidana used a lot of technique and angles, and he hit Floyd. And Floyd had never been hit this much in his previous 38 fights. And he said he was one of his tougher fights, but he went on to win by split decision. However, Mayweather, being disciplined, being hungry, made adjustments and went on to win the rematch by unanimous decision. All right. So finally, we get him and Manny Pacquiao after years of negotiation. It's going down May 2nd, 2015 at the MGM Grand. This was supposed to be the fight of the century. Many people did not feel that way. But Pacquiao could not touch Mayweather. He was landing 19% of his punches, and he had difficulty hitting him. Floyd was just doing what he does and avoiding that. So Floyd did end up winning by unanimous decision, but as many said, it did not live up to the fight of the century hype. Now, after the fight, Pacquiao stated he had a torn rotator cuff, and that's why he was having trouble with Mayweather. And he said this was an injury dating back to 2009. But because of that, and Floyd initially said he would give him a rematch, but said, nah, he's a sore loser and a coward after initially considering the rematch. But Floyd was stripped of the WBO welterweight title because he couldn't hold the title in multiple divisions, and he didn't pay the sanctioning fee. But let's get toward the end. He had a couple bouts to end his professional career. September 12th, he fought Andre Berto, and this generated 550,000 buys, which was the lowest for Mayweather in over 10 years. So if the buys were low, the money was low. But lo and behold, here comes Conor McGregor. They scheduled about August 26th, 2017, and this is for the WBC money belt. Conor was leading in the early rounds, and Mayweather was like, "Yeah, I wanted to fill him out, get him tired." But Mayweather ultimately won by 10th round knockout, and this was a big fight for him, big payday. He received 100 million guaranteed, while McGregor received 30 million guaranteed. And record in boxing, he raised his record in boxing to 50-0. But outside of that, Mayweather has done some other activities. So WWE, he was part of the No Way Out pay-per-view event. 2009, he was a guest host of Raw in Las Vegas, and then he appeared on season 5 of Dancing with the Stars. We've kind of touched on this as well too. He's had some issues with legal issues, TV, battery, and whatnot. You can see some of the things he's had going back to 2002. He had 2 counts of DV, 1 count misdemeanor battery. This was, toward dealing with some of the women in his life. He had a 2004 suspended sentence, fine, community service. This again was involving women in his life. And then in 2005, he had a 90-day suspended sentence on a no contest plea for hitting a kick in a bouncer. And then again, we talked about that DV sentence he had in 2011 as well too. But he's had a lot of success. It's too many to list on here. 15 world championships across 5 weight classes. Ring Fighter of the Year '98 and 2007. 2010 Fighter of the Decade. CompuBox most accurate puncher of all time. And then he had 24 million pay-per-view views and generated over 1.67 billion in revenue. But one thing that we talked about is his level of discipline. He trains out a minimum of 6 days a week. He would often run home as you see him from club outings. He would go out and do what he's gonna do, and then jog back home, and clean eating habits. And so those are things that has made him have the longevity, because whether he was 1-0 or 49-0, he approached it with the same hunger. Couple businesses. There's so many different things that he's involved in. Mayweather Promotions, as you see there on the bag. Girl Collection, that is his gentlemen's club in Las Vegas. He's got a skate park, Skate Rock City. Of course, his Mayweather Racing, and then his clothing line. Personal, he has 4 biological children, 3 daughters, Karan, Iana, and Jira. You may have heard about Jira and her little episodes as well. And then he has a son, Zion, and then an adopted Devion Cromwell. And he has some other siblings I looked up, because it's hard to say because they tie him to his father. And when I look for one, Mayweather may bring up the brothers and whatnot. But some of the women in his family started hair salons and other businesses, and they're very successful in their own right. But he definitely has a giving spirit as well too. Things you don't know. He's always doing things to support organizations to uplift and empower youth and provide opportunities. Of course, he supports education and health initiatives, and then he's done a bit of disaster relief and holiday giving. And so he has the Floyd Mayweather Jr. Foundation, established in 2009 when he was at the height of his career. Some things that I looked up and noted that he paid 49,000 medical bill for a family because they wanted to save their 10-month-old child. He's done things for Make a Wish, Muscular Dystrophy Association, Shriners Hospital, and then various food banks. But thank you for tuning in to this case study. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, and thank you for tuning in to this part. All right, so that is that as we relates to the case study. But I want to touch on a couple of things. So with Mayweather, he has been very, very disciplined in his approach, and I think that's what separates him from other great heavyweights. If you tune in, I've done a case study on Mike Tyson, and even when Mike Tyson was at the height of his career, he had the issue in Tokyo where he didn't train as he should have, and he got upset by Buster Douglas. He's had some other times where he's had some lapses, and as great as Tyson was and as great as talented he wasn't able to continue to maintain discipline throughout the process. So you definitely want to make sure that you're doing that, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to answer your questions, and let me see here just in case anybody wants to come join. I will put that in the chat as well too. But also too, if you got questions about this topic or anything else that we've discussed previously or any other time, feel free to write in, chime in, and we can go ahead and do that. Let me check my phone here because I know sometimes questions come over here. But let's see here. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the questions. Y'all definitely typically ask some good questions. So let's get into this right here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. This is a good one here. This is kind of controversial. So what are your thoughts on on Cracker Barrel and their rebrand? It's questionable. They've already walked it back. One thing I always ask is why are you looking to make this particular change? For those who don't know, Cracker Barrel restaurant, I have some family members that's their favorite restaurant, so they enjoy going there. I've been there within the last year because I was visiting, but to me, it's an old country store. That's what it's known for. Very homely, very relaxed. Rocking chair is something I enjoy. But when you're rebranding, you have to look at who your market is going to be and how it's going to affect your existing market. We saw the fiasco with Bud Light. You've seen my case study on Southwest. So I don't know if this was something that was purely financial in the sense that they were losing money or not generating enough as they would have liked to have. But one thing is, how would I recover? So Cracker Barrel, you've got a lot of free publicity, free advertising, and you have a short window to take advantage of that. Uh, they have already walked back the logo, so I would definitely look at making sure you're identifying your target market and what they want. Um, but again, I'm not as huge a fan of Cracker Barrel as some of my other family members, but I hate to see brands who are legacy brands just do things to shoot themselves in the foot. But that is definitely a good question. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Let's see what we got going on over here. Let's see here. All right, this is a good question. What are your thoughts on the curvy teacher outfits? Y'all be asking some good questions. So, some people have been seeing, right, that there's a teacher, and she wouldn't be the first, but she's had some interesting outfits, right? And so it really shows off her shape and her figure. And some people are questioning, is that necessarily appropriate um, for school, right? And it's borderline, it's questionable. It can be distraction. So one thing is because I've traveled to different places, and there's always been women or men who have various shapes. And one thing is when you look at someone's body, there's different things you can do from analysis to mute certain features or enhance certain features. So the fact that you're saying that I can't do this because I'm curved this way, that's simply not true. In other countries, they are more modest, and so they require women to wear some type of covering or other types of looser clothing on top of that, so it does hide and mask that. But yeah, simple body analysis and some other things. If she was interested, we could definitely help and assist in that area. I know I could, but it's all about the material, the design, because certain things draw your attention to different areas, no different than certain things draw your attention to different things in the room. But definitely could help for that. Is to me, it's just a cop out as an excuse. Because it can be done better. Now, it'd be different if they took the steps and efforts to do so after that, but it appeared that the person doubled down on that. I don't have any children, so I look at things as questionable. But I know some people who do have children or do work in those environments, they're a little bit more passionate about that. So I yield to you. But can she do something about it? Absolutely. Could the success concierge help her? Absolutely. But another good question as well too. All right, let me check here. Okay, this is another great question. because I don't like to hold y'all long either. Not long-winded like those Southern preachers. But we get in, we do what we need to do, and we get out. Why are you speaking at the Manosphere? I guess that's supposed to be conclave. Okay, so there's a lot of controversy about the Manosphere in general, right? You hear more negative than positive, and that's not my perspective or what I see in this instance. Because with anything, you have people who are doing good things, doing not so good things. And this particular conclave, these brothers are about better than themselves. You got people teaching them about how to be healthier, teaching them skill sets to help them uh, be, be successful in the tech space, which allows them to one, generate revenue, two, have confidence amongst themselves, and three, form good relationships. So that is definitely a positive on that. And then the other valuable information that's being given. Now, me personally, anytime I'm around someone or I see a group of individuals who are wanting to better themselves, not just by word, but also by action, I'm willing to contribute whatever talent and time that I can to that organization. So that's why I'm speaking because one, I think they're doing some positive things for themselves in the community and themselves enhance embedded their environment. The rising tide lifts all boats. And then secondarily, I'm a success concierge. So I have a lot of value that I feel like I can add to that situation. And I'm looking forward to doing that in the upcoming week. So stay tuned. Make sure you get your tickets either virtually and or in person. And then there may be some other things coming from your success concierge that may have me do a breakout session. We'll see. But thank you for your support and definitely appreciate that. But another great question as well, too. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Let's see here. Okay. All right, this is another good question right here. What are things you do to stay consistent in business and life? The number one thing I feel like is, or I believe is, uh, knowing what you want, right? So me personally, I like to have a good quality of life, and part of that is eating healthy, getting the proper nutrition, and exercising. So I try to make sure I do that consistently. 5 days a week, 5 days a week minimum, but definitely shoot for seven. Eat healthier, but a couple little habits that I do on a daily basis. Every day I get up, I make my bed. I do this every day except the last day that I stay somewhere because if you do it in a hotel or someone like that, you may have someone lazy, so they'll not do it. But I do it every day there. One, because I want to make sure that I start the day with something successful. So the one thing that I can control before I talk with anyone, interact with anyone, is making the bed. So I start the day every day with the victory and a win. Second thing is I do something every day to stimulate my mind or my business, whether I'm reading something, whether I'm getting a bit of information that's going to help me grow, whether I'm writing ideas, whether I'm creating marketing materials, content, all these type of things. I make sure I do that on a daily basis. Sometimes I do a lot, sometimes I do a little, but I make sure I do something because that's my consistent habit as well too. And so these are type of things that's going to help you stay sharp on your goals and consistently make progress. So these are definitely great, great, great questions. All right, here we go. This is another good one right here. All right, how should I dress for a yacht party? So two questions on that. Is this a day yacht party or evening yacht party? In the weather. So if it's a day yacht party, you may be getting in the water, getting some other things, doing a little bit more sunning. So of course you want your comfortable shoes. And that's an appropriate time to wear. For the gentlemen, they can wear shorts, some of the Bermuda shirts, those type of things, because it's going to be casual, fun, playful. Ladies, that's where you wear your wraps. You can, wear some of the longer dresses, show a little bit of the arm as well too. Still classy and professional, but it's going to be warm. You're going to be walking, and you definitely want to be comfortable. Now, in the evening time, sometimes in certain areas, the weather is a little bit cooler at night, especially on the water. So that's when gentlemen can go with the slacks and pants, your boat shoes, your drivers. You can do a polo, do a button up, white linen, merino wool on that. And then the ladies, they can do long dresses, sundresses as well too. Those are apropos. And if it's in the daytime, definitely make sure you got your eyewear on because you want to protect your eyes in the sun. And then, of course, your skincare treatment. I know I'm brown people. We have people from all over the world, but even still, You can get damage from UV rays, so you definitely want to make sure you're doing what you have to do to protect yourself in that manner. But also, too, safety first. So follow all the safety protocols for that. All right, good questions. Let's see what else we got over here. Oh, this is a follow up. Okay. All right. How you determine when to change marketing strategy, like Cracker Barrel Southwest? So you have to look at your outcome. So number one is you may have revenue goals. So you have to do that. I always say a SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunity, threats, and trends. So you can know what's going on with your organization and within the market. So if you're noticing that there are opportunities that you are not taking advantage of, or there's trends, then you look at and examine that. But then you also have to look at, will that trend help or hurt your core business? Now, sometimes changing your core business or core clients, that can be beneficial. You may look to clients who, one, spend more, two, they visit more frequently. Those type of things, they increase the frequency, they increase the amount that they spend, and they bring other types of business. So you have to look at and examine that, and don't just do it theoretically. You have some assumptions. You see what you can do to validate their assumptions. What I've seen is sometimes it's a copycat thing, and that's not always prudent. You want to do a good look under the hood, examine the things that's going on there, so you can make wise decisions. And so for those individuals, I did the case study on Southwest Airlines, so you can go back and check that out. I haven't really done one on Cracker Barrel, not sure if I will, because it's still kind of a fluid situation as well, and what they're dealing with. But you have to examine what's working, what's not working. Examine the business that you're in now, and then also to the business that you need to be in. I give a perfect example: Blockbuster versus Netflix. Blockbuster, they had, standalone videos. Some people may or may not remember. You checked out videos like a library, and they felt like, oh well, people like coming in here. They like being able to do this, right? Well, then there was a little company called Netflix. You may have heard of it, and they were saying, oh well, we can just send things to people's house and not charge them late fees. That used to kill people. You get a 3-day rental or a 5-day rental, you keep it for a 6-day, and then you have fees. Well, Blockbuster didn't recognize they need to go to a model that allowed them to not have as many late fees but still generate revenue. And then now people just do things digitally. So now Netflix is a platform. Let's even talk about them. So Netflix, initially they were talking about just mailing, and you send the video out and then you get it back. Then Netflix said, okay, that's good, but we need to be digital. So they were visionary to focus on shifting from hardware to more of a software based business. And then thirdly, they said, oh, you know what we can do? We not only can show other people's content, we can create our own content. So that's forward thinking of where you are and where the market is going. Um, so they didn't do a copycat model. They did some things and did some examinations to see where not just the business they're in now, but the business that they need to be in. And so these type of answers, they're somewhat generic, but they're apropos. And so if I'm working with someone, I'm working with a client, I actually get down into the weeds, look at what you're doing, and we map this out. We map all these things out so that we can make informed decisions. So if you don't deal with your success concierge, deal with someone else who can help you, walk you through this process to get these type of information so you can know what decisions need to make. Another great question. Let's see what else we got here, because we're coming up on top. Okay. All right. Someone asked this right here. Do you do facial and body analysis? Absolutely. All right. I may do a live stream on this right here. There's various body types. You have your vertical body and then your horizontal or side. And so the vertical, you can have basically three categories. You can have long legs, short torso, long torso, short legs. You can be balanced, and then the fourth, you can be under 5'3", which we consider petite. So those are the various body types just on the vertical side, and then horizontally, we come in all different shapes and sizes. And so based on those two factors, and having a conversation with you about what features you want to mask or what features you want to multiply or magnify, then we can talk about how we dress and style. But it's definitely about doing things that's appropriate from a figure side. And then, of course, facial analysis. We have different shaped faces, so that determines for the ladies and even to the gentlemen to the extent, how you wear your hair, right? Should you wear your hair up, down, part, center, left, right? Then, of course, my favorite, picking out glasses as well too. So I do both of those, and we do this with actual measurements and science, because with the facial mapping, because we want to be precise over here. So that's definitely something we can do. And again, hint, hint, or maybe that's something I need to look into, doing a topic on facial and body analysis. So another good question there. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. We've been going for a bit here. I did put the link there, put it back up in case somebody wants to join in. We have that, but definitely look out for me in about a week at the Manosphere Conclave. I'm going to be representing, doing it is what your Success Concierge does, and adding value, right? And so I'm really looking forward to that. I look forward to seeing the gentlemen there, seeing how I can impact their lives, because that's what really excites me, when I help someone have an aha moment, when I get them to the next level and they say, hey, Eric, you helped me with this, you helped me with that, I did what you showed me, I utilized this particular technique, and now I have outcomes. So that's what really feels me. I had a lot of family members who are educated, so I'm not going to be in the classroom like that, but I do add value in other areas and other ways. So absolutely. Let's see here. Winding down, winding down. All right. Are you ready for some football? I'm not really big on football like I used to be. A combination of things. Some of the people I used to watch growing up or grew up with, they're no longer playing, and then just being busy. Typically, I don't sit down to watch games unless I'm at an event, I'm in an airport or something like that. But typically, I may catch some of the playoffs, or if there's something going on while I'm there. If I get invited somewhere, I will. But just overall, I'm not really as big on that, but I know it's a good time for individuals to have fun. This is just for not just for professional, but also college. So tailgating, all these type of activities. So if that's what you enjoy doing, go team for you. I do, like I said, I may watch some of the championship games. Is good relaxation, good conversation. But yeah, I do like when there's activity going on, opportunity for people to make money, opportunity for people to connect, to grow. That's what I'm ready for, and I'm ready for that all 4 seasons. But we'll see how things go and play out as well too in the upcoming year. As you know, I've done case studies on Travis Hunter, Deion Sanders, other football players. So I definitely appreciate that. I think I did Michael Vick as well too. If I did, I'm not sure, but because I've done so many over the course of this time. But yeah, it's a good time for that. I do like this time of year because this is when the seasons change here in North America. We go from warm weather to cooler weather, so that allows me to utilize and wear more of my fragrances. But those are just some things I look for as it relates to that. Let's see what we got going on in the chat here. We've been going on about an hour, and I like to keep it brief because I've never been the type to be long-winded. Let's see if we have anything over here on the phone, if any questions came through there. No, sounds like we are good. Hey, well, again, check me out, Black Manosphere Conclave 5.0 in Miami, September 5th through the 7th, I believe those are the dates. If you haven't registered or gotten your tickets, definitely go ahead and do that. And reach out to me because I'm still adding some things to add value to you. But thank you for tuning in. I am Eric Hall, your Success Concierge, and we are out.